Should it stay or should it go? Bristol Dirt put on one heck of a show this weekend in what could be its final race on the dirt configuration. The racing was amazing. We're going to get into that. So many different grooves to race on. And then, of course, the Ryan Preece, Kyle Larson battle. And Christopher Bell, the dirt track star, brings it home, the first dirt guy to win on the Bristol Dirt configuration. Is he the new number one at Gibbs? All this and more on this upcoming installment of The Tunnel Turn, presented by Dogleg Media. Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning back in with us here. I am Matt, your host. And man, what a wonky, crazy weekend we had this last weekend at Bristol. To start the weekend, the discussion was, should NASCAR remain coming to Bristol Dirt? Kyle Larson sure sounded off before the weekend saying this.
Kyle, it's our third year on the dirt here at Bristol, and it's still up in the air if we're going to come back on the concrete. What are your thoughts? Should we still do dirt races at Bristol?
No, I mean, I think we all really enjoy the concrete surface here at Bristol, so I think the crowd's typically bigger, it seems like at this point now, so for the concrete stuff. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, it's up to the series and the promoters, but I would love to get back to running 2 races on the concrete here.
If we change it to a different dirt track, which one would you want to go to?
None.
Why is that?
Because we don't need to be racing on dirt.
It's interesting that the dirt track guy, a lot of people were saying, hey, if the dirt track guy is telling you not to come back, you probably shouldn't come back. A lot of fans also were saying that NASCAR should just get rid of the novelty, that the novelty had wore itself out by this point 3 years in. Leading up to the race, we had some bad weather on Friday. It looked like we may not get the heat races in or even the truck race. But the weather held out. We got a little bit of rain on Saturday, but not enough to cause any issues. Joey Logano brings home that 66 Thor Sport F-150 home with the win on Saturday night in the trucks. An absolutely dominating performance for him. But the same could not be said for the Cup race on Sunday night for Joey Logano, as he is the first car to get eliminated from the race with issues after a wreck in stage number 2. To start the race, Kyle Larson was dominant. I think he led every single lap in stage number 1. He won stage 1. He pitted, which allowed Tyler Reddick to get out front. He did not pit at the end of stage number 1. He was able to win stage number 2. And then in stage number 2, we of course got the big battle. Ryan Preece versus Kyle Larson. And Preece, man, he went on a tirade on the radio, saying that it was game over and that he needed to pay him back one, and he sure enough did about an hour and a half later in stage number 3.
Exactly what you're seeing. Oh, crash, turn 1, and they crashed 4 times down the straightaway. Larson and Preece, and it's Larson in the wall.
Interesting.
Maybe a payback.
I hope not.
That'll be caution number 11 here at lap 176. And that started, Tony, back in the middle of 3 and 4 and ended up in turn 1. The 11th caution of the night, the 5 and the 41.
That was by far the biggest storyline of the weekend, was Preece versus Larson. That got pretty spicy at the end of the race. Preece said that he just got loose. He didn't want to admit any guilt, and I don't blame him after seeing what happened to Denny Hamlin after he admitted what he did to Ross Chastain on a podcast. You can hear Kyle Larson's thoughts right here.
Kyle, what was your take on the contact with the 41, both early in the race and what ended up taking you out?
I mean, I haven't seen the contact from earlier in the race. It was a tight clear off of 4, and I mean, obviously I'm looking in my mirror and didn't seem that he was to my outside yet, but and I don't know if he got into the wall, but he had a pretty short temper. Obviously he tried to crash me, I think, after that, and then was swerving at me under yellow, and assumed it'd been an hour and a half or so since that happened, and it wasn't my fault why he ended up spun out and in the back, so thought that he would chill out, but obviously didn't, and ran me in the fence and ended our day. So is what it is.
Have you guys had any issues with him before?
I haven't honestly raced with him that much. He's been kind of out of the Cup Series a little bit for the last couple of years, and he wasn't in the best stuff when he was Cup racing before. So I haven't spent too much time around him, and I don't remember if I've been or if he's been mad at me before. I've never been mad at him, but I know he was obviously. I mean, everybody saw his comments after Coda, so I'm sure he's standing his ground, I guess, right now.
Were you surprised?
I mean, a little bit surprised just because it'd been so long, and like I said, it wasn't my fault why he was back there. You know, I think something happened to him off of 2 earlier, and he ran in the back of somebody and spun out. And then, like I said, it'd been probably an hour and a half. I would have to guess since then. So, figured we could just be grown-ups and get the fuck over it, but I guess not.
So as you can see, Kyle Larson not too happy about it. He thought that both of the guys should have just been grown-ups and moved on from it. But you guys be the judge. Do you think that Preece went a little bit too far? Was it just desserts, or do you actually believe him that it wasn't intentional? I don't know how anybody can believe that after what he said after the first contact, but who knows? Maybe he's being truthful. And man, I don't want to get through this video without talking about Michael McDowell's two perfect, not just one, but 2 perfect 360s without making contact with anybody. You can see those right here. That was incredible.
Watch 34 right side of your screen in yellow.
Just gets it sheared down a little bit too much, but stays in the gas right there. 360. I told you this guy was wheeling it tonight.
And look at everybody scrambling to get out from underneath of him.
All the drivers all night long were trying to perfect what Michael McDowell did. Guys were spinning left and right by themselves. They were not able to control it like Michael McDowell did, though. That was incredible. I think he actually got the biggest move of the race by Fox, which I don't blame him at all for that. And then you got to talk about Brad Keselowski. Those guys over at RFK, they had a rough night. He had spun maybe 3 or 4 times by himself. He was able to bring it back to a 17th place finish, but man, not a great night for them. I'm sure they're wishing for the concrete back. Of course, another storyline is Jonathan Davenport, a dirt track ringer. He was able to race in the truck race and the cup race for Colleague Race and Inspire. He didn't fare too well in either one of the races. He went out late in the cup race with an issue. Interestingly enough, Jonathan Davenport is one of the guys that said it was a novelty. Listen to these comments right here that he made.
Can you give a thumbs up or a thumbs down to this type of dirt racing?
I don't know about this type of dirt racing. You know, I classify this more as a show than a race, really. I mean, these cars ain't built to race on dirt. So I don't know. I mean, it's cool. It's different. It's a novelty. But, you know, this ain't really true dirt racing, but it's just something different.
Pretty strong words. I mean, the guy is a dirt track star. He's used to dirt racing, but for him to say that this isn't real dirt racing, I don't know. That seemed like it kind of rubbed me the wrong way a little bit. Something else of note, Chase Briscoe, he pulled the double as well, and man, he had his hands full, quite literally. Briscoe earlier in the week broke his middle finger on his left hand in a late model incident, and his hand looked like a crab claw taped up, and he said before the truck race that he was super nervous about it. He said it was painful. He didn't know how it was going to go. And Briscoe, he was wheeling that thing. There for a little bit, he had the lead. He was battling back and forth with Reddick and Christopher Bell. And then unfortunately, on the final restart, he got into Ryan Blaney after the race. He said it was a boneheaded move. He said it was a stupid move. He didn't mean to do it. But he got into Blaney and sent him around. There was no caution there. But right before that, there was a caution. A kind of another questionable caution. With 15 laps to go, Kyle Busch had some issues. He spun right onto pit road, outside of the racing surface, but NASCAR threw a caution with 15 to go. In any other race, this may not have been a problem, but this Bristol Dirt race, these guys were spinning left and right without cautions being thrown. In the racing surface even, they weren't throwing the cautions. There was a lot of fan reaction from that too, saying that it was manipulated chaos. Me personally, I just don't see how it wasn't. There shouldn't have been a caution thrown, especially if there were plenty of wrecks before that weren't. But that caution right there led to the final restart where Briscoe got into Blaney. That wasn't a caution. That was way more worthy of a caution than the Kyle Busch incident, in my opinion. And with 15 laps to go, it was Christopher Bell versus Tyler Reddick. Ricky Stenhouse and Austin Dillon had one heck of a battle for third place. That was fun to watch. But there at the end, it was all Christopher Bell and Tyler Reddick. We get to the white flag lap. It looks like Reddick can throw one final move on him in turns 3 and 4. And hashtag thanks Ross. He ended the race with a caution because he had an incident with Josh Berry. So again, the meme, thanks Ross, he really did. It was Ross Chastain's fault. He got into an incident with Josh Berry. Josh Berry at the point was running very, very well. Very consistent, great run for him for the dirt race. But Ross Chastain's car got stopped in the middle of 3 and 4, and NASCAR had no choice but to throw the caution. What could have been, we'll never know. Could Tyler Reddick have thrown a move like Chase Briscoe did on him last year to win the race? We'll never know. But aside from an anticlimactic ending to the race, it was a phenomenal, phenomenal race. The action was all night long, so many different grooves, so much passing. But huge congratulations to Christopher Bell. He brings home the win, his first of the season. And now with his late surge last season and him being the first Gibbs car to win this season, is Christopher Bell the new number one at Gibbs? You have veteran guys like Denny Hamlin and Martin Truex Jr. who are there. And Christopher Bell, man, he has been the number one guy. He made it to the Final Four last year, finished third in the final standings, and he got their first win this year. He's a dirt track guy. He won the Bristol Dirt race, the first dirt guy to really get a win on the Bristol Dirt. But yeah, Christopher Bell, man, he looks super strong. He's got a bright, bright future ahead of him. But honestly now, let me know in the comments, do you think that Christopher Bell is the number one guy in that stable at Gibbs? You're going to see your top 10 finishers on the screen now. So as we talked about, Christopher Bell, he gets the win. Tyler Reddick comes home second. What could have been, man, Tyler Reddick had a great car, and had that run gone a little bit longer, who knows what would have happened. Austin Dillon and Ricky Stenhouse, man, they were battling for that third position, and I don't blame them. That was really the catbird seat. If Reddick and Bell had gotten into it, we could have seen like last year. Kyle Busch came from third to win it in the last turn. Austin Dillon gets a third place finish. Ricky Stenhouse a strong top 5 and 4th. And Chase Briscoe, even with a broken finger, he comes home 5th. A strong showing for him as well. The 31 Tide machine of Justin Haley, man, that was a good looking race car. They come home 6th. A great showing for them. Martin Truex Jr. in that 19 machine, he comes home 7th. And Todd Gilliland, he's been sneaky good. 3 straight top 15s. This time he's got a top 10. He finishes 8th. That Front Row Motorsports 38 car, he's looking good, and he's showing them why he should be the guy in the car. Kevin Harvick in his farewell season, he comes home 9th on the Bristol Dirt. And then Ty Gibbs, another Gibbs guy. He's 3rd straight top 10. He's went 9th, 9th, and 10th. Great, great finish for him as well. And lastly, here's your top 10 point standings after Bristol Dirt. No surprises here. Christopher Bell gets the win. He's taken over the point standings over Ross Chastain in 2nd. Something to note, too, these standings are with the new Hendrick Motorsports penalties of 60 points for William Byron and Alex Bowman. Hendrick did announce that they are not going to be appealing those penalties. I wonder if that has something to do with NASCAR's rule change last week. Kevin Harvick is in 3rd place in the points, man. That's one thing that Happy Harvick is great at. He's consistent in the points whether he's winning or not. Kyle Larson, he's in 4th place in the points. He didn't get that additional 60-point penalty, so he's sitting pretty. Tyler Reddick rounds out your top 5 in points. He had a shot to get his 2nd win of the season, and we'll just never know because of Ross Chastain. Kyle Busch had a great day at Bristol Dirt up there until the end with 15 to go. He just had an issue. He finishes pretty far down there. He's in 6th place in the points. Martin Truex Jr., great day at Bristol Dirt. He's in 7th. And man, Joey Logano, he had a really, really rough day at Bristol Dirt. He is in 8th place in the points after finishing dead last on Sunday. Even after Brad Keselowski's woes at Bristol Dirt, he finds himself in 9th place in the points. And Ryan Blaney in that 12 machine for Penske. He is in the top 10. He rounds out your top 10 in the point standings after Bristol Dirt. And guys, before I sign off, I've got a big announcement to make. I'm super excited to share with you guys. I accepted a position as a writer for the Daily Downforce. I'm going to link them down below. Be sure to go sign up for the emails. Be sure to follow them on all socials. They do a phenomenal job of bringing new fans to the stands, promoting NASCAR, and making sure that our sport grows at the pace that it needs to. You're going to find any bit of news that you need for NASCAR, fun lists, stories, driver interviews, at-track content, pictures, all of that. My first weekend to write is this weekend. Be on the lookout for some stories from me. And remember, it's my first week, so go easy on me, please. But yeah, I really wanted to share that with you guys. I can't wait to bring you more for that. But it's going to be an awesome journey. I want to help these guys any way that I can. They do a phenomenal job. Be sure to go follow them for real, guys. But that'll wrap it up for us here today. Let me know down below what you think about the Bristol Dirt Race. Should it stay? Should it go? Are you Team Preece? Are you Team Larson? And then be sure to go over to the Daily Downforce and let me know what you think of the content. I can't wait to bring you guys more of it. But until next time, guys, I'm your host, Matt. You're exiting the tunnel turn, presented by Dogleg Media.